legendary Peyton Manning, former quarterback of Tennessee, the head coach of Tennessee. Why not? Nothing else has worked. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I do videos every single day, sometimes college football, sometimes college basketball, and the best way to support this channel, hit the subscribe button. Now, I know this is kind of a far-fetched idea, but really, if you think about it, I don't think that would be too bad of an idea. Two things would have to happen, though. Number one, Tennessee would have to offer him the job. Number two, Peyton Manning would actually have to accept the job, and he has a good analytic position right now. I'm not sure if that would happen, but it's fun to think about. He had a great career at Tennessee. He's a former two-time Super Bowl champion, also a Super Bowl MVP. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Maybe he could add his name as a coach. That would be awesome. And he embodies the state of Tennessee. Who better than to coach the Volunteers than Peyton Manning? Not to mention, he's an offensive genius. Now let's look at the actual coaching list for Tennessee. First up on the list, it's actually kind of laughable. Lane Kiffin. We've already heard this story before, and what happened? He abandoned Tennessee. But let's take a look into it anyways. He actually head coached the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people forget about that. After that, that's when he coached at Tennessee. In 2009, he replaced Philip Fulmer. He went 7-6, which isn't great. He had some great wins, but some terrible losses, so it was a weird season for Tennessee. The next year, he left abruptly for USC. At USC, he went 8-5 in his first year, 10-2 the next year, 7-6 in 2012. Then he started the 2013 season with losses to Arizona State and Washington State. That was enough for USC. They fired him. After hanging out with Nick Saban in Alabama for a while, he took the head coaching job at FAU. Actually had some good success, went 11-3 and 10-2 back-to-back Conference USA titles. And now he's at Ole Miss. In his first year, he went 5-5, but the offense took major steps forward. I just don't think Tennessee would be willing to take another chance on Lane Kiffin. He's very low on this list. Next up, Gus Malzahn. He coached at Arkansas State and Auburn, and overall, he went 77-38. That's not bad at all, really. He took an over Auburn team and took them to the SEC Championship and a BCS National Championship appearance in just 2 years. He turned them around quickly, but then after that, they started to slowly decline, and he was just recently fired. But he provided us with some great moments, including that miracle catch against Georgia and the kick six moment against Alabama. To me, this wouldn't necessarily be a bad hire. Next up on the list, Matt Campbell at Iowa State. At Iowa State, he's 35-28. That's not great. Overall, he's 70-43. Not bad. He had a lot of success at Toledo, including leading them to a number 20 ranking in the AP Top 25 poll. When he took over at Iowa State in 2016, he had a 3-9 season. The next year, 8-5. The year after that, another 8-5. Then a 7-6. And then most recently, a 9-3. So he does have Iowa State on a steady incline. I will say, right now, Matt Campbell is at his highest value. Next up on the list, Tom Herman. He coached at Houston and Texas. Overall, 54-22. That's not bad at all. His first year at Houston, he went 11-1 and beat Florida State in the Peach Bowl. He was 22-4 overall. He finished undefeated in home games versus AP Top 25 ranked teams and versus Power 5 opponents. That's pretty impressive. When he was at Texas, he had some success as well. He started out in 2017 with 7-6, then 10-4, then 8-5, then 7-3. So really, there wasn't really any fall off. It's just he kind of plateaued. I think Texas should have given him another year or two, but having said that, I did predict that he would get fired because Texas has massive standards. His record at Texas was 32-18. I think this would be a very smart hire at Tennessee. He's a very good coach, and I think his personality would fit in well at Tennessee. Next, we have Jamie Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. He's had a longer coaching career than people realize. Overall, so far, he's 79-52. He coached at North Greenville, which I know where that's at. I live close to that. and Delta State, and now Coastal Carolina. This past year, he won the 2020 AP College Coach of the Year. He also won the Sun Belt without actually playing in the Sun Belt Championship. But earlier in the year, he did beat Louisiana, who would have been their opponent in the championship game. Same goes for Jamie Chadwell. He's at his highest value right now. I like the next name on this list a lot. Bill Napier. He's the head coach at Louisiana. Overall, he's 28-11. He's worked with Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban. He's on a steady incline right now. He started out in 2018 7-7, then 11-3, and this past year 10-1. Right now, he is at his highest value. This guy would be a great fit at Tennessee. I also like the next name, Hugh Freeze. He has some history with the SEC. Before he went to Liberty, he coached at Arkansas State and Ole Miss. Overall, he's 60-38. That's a pretty good record. He took a terrible Arkansas State team and took them to the Sun Belt title game and went 10-2 that year. Hugh Freeze regularly had a top 20 recruiting class while he was at Ole Miss, and he beat Alabama with Nick Saban in back-to-back years. People forget about that. And they won the Sugar Bowl in 2016. Now, his first year at Liberty, they went 7-5, but then this past year, they went 10-1, and their only loss was to NC State by 1 point. And they upset Coastal Carolina in the Cure Bowl. That was a big win for Liberty. Now, he does have some baggage from Ole Miss, but would Tennessee be willing to forgive him? I think it would be worth the risk, because we've seen what he's done at Liberty, and Tennessee has way more resources than Liberty does. His biggest get at Liberty so far was getting quarterback Malik Willis from Auburn and turning him into a star. I think he could do the same thing at Tennessee. Number 1 on the list. This is not my list. This is Tennessee's list. Kevin Steele. This is their number 1. He is the interim coach at Tennessee right now, but I don't think he's a good fit. He's been a long-time defensive coordinator, and right now Tennessee doesn't need a defensive-minded coach. He's already tried out being head coach at Baylor from 1999 to 2002, and he went 9 for 36. That is bad. Why would you take that risk? He's already failed at head coaching. He's been an okay defensive coordinator, but the thing that most people remember him from is when he was the defensive coordinator for Clemson and they got whooped by West Virginia 70-33, and that's when Dabo Swinney fired him, brought in Brent Venables, and Clemson hasn't looked back since. So to me, the number 1 guy on Tennessee's list is probably the worst hire they can make out of the names that I mentioned. There's so many great names out there. Why would you go with Kevin Steele? It's not going to work. I can already tell you that right now. Tennessee used to be a national powerhouse. Now they're making head-scratching coaching decisions. This is where they can get it right. The problem is they're leaning in a direction that's not going to get it right. We'll see what happens, though. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.